and we are live. Their goal is to cause a seizure.
Oh my god, this is so badass. Unless you're rolling up in a Bugatti, I don't give a shit.
It's way too much noise. I'm over here trying to be quiet.
You like run at him and he goes, and you like hit the floor and have this epileptic fit.
You're talking shit now, is that it?
I don't know. We'll say it's Chase because you're definitely alone.
Yeah.
It seems like getting knocked out would be safer.
Let's see it. Yeah. Oh, look at that dirt.
Hey guys, I'm Jacob.
I'm Chase.
And this is a Take Cover podcast show. All right, and we are back. Take Cover podcast. We had a couple of flakeouts. Several. Goddamn, we couldn't get a podcast in to save our lives these past couple weeks.
Yeah, in a row, back to back to back.
No, it was fucking awful.
Yeah.
But we got Drew Reed in here with us today. Longtime friend. Not that long, but
not too long.
Yeah, a couple years.
Maybe.
Yeah, get a little closer to your mic, bud.
Yeah,
Can't really hear you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there it is.
That's a little better.
Get the mic closer to me.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's why we got mic stands. So, I went over to your house last night, and Chase, you didn't come with us. You wanted to go home, go to sleep. You're a little puss. had to go to work. But me and Drew, I've been thinking about making a knife for a long time. And I designed one today. It's pretty dope. I'll tell you in a little bit. But Drew, you've been making knives for how long?
Not too long. Definitely had an interest in it for a long time, but I think I probably made my first one 6 years ago and then trailed off for a long time, and only recently in the past year or two got back into it.
Yeah.
But
I think my issue is I've just been watching way too much Forged in Fire.
so good.
It looks really easy when you watch the show.
Yeah. They mess them up and you're like, you idiot.
Yeah. God damn, I've heard the judges tell you not to do that. You're still quenching in water.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Oh, yeah.
What got you into that, man? Like, how'd you stumble upon that? I mean, if it was only about 6 years ago or so.
I don't know. I've always kind of been an outdoorsman. I got a great uncle who made them for a long time. He gave me one for Christmas when I was like 6. He made it for me. I carried it everywhere. So, I don't know. I had a family member that did it, and I kind of grew up around it. And then as I became an outdoorsman, I needed to use them for things like, fishing or what have you. Started making them, man. Nothing crazy.
Will you comment on the live stream for me? The phone number?
Of course.
I definitely forgot to do that.
Anything for you, man.
I appreciate it, buddy. No, see, my issue is I don't really have a knife that does everything I want it to do, which is weird because they've got like billions of models of knives, it feels like. But there's probably one out there. I just don't know the name of it and haven't done enough research. I Googled for like 30 minutes, so I feel like that's solid. But no, so I was telling you earlier how I basically want a knife to do like bushcrafty shit. So like when we go camping and whittling sticks for traps and shit like that, but also need something that's going to be good for big and small game, whether it's quartering and skinning. So not necessarily a stabber, but definitely a chopper and a slicer for sure. Because, cutting through all that sinew to get like a deer hide off. Yeah. It's relatively difficult with like a dual blade. So, but that's also a struggle because typically when you think of skinning knife and chopper, they don't go hand in hand.
Yeah, you tend to have to lean like one way more so than the other. Because if you want a skinning knife, you usually want something small but that you can use that's kind of flexible. Mm-hmm. Same time you want a chopper, you kind of think of something big and curved, almost like the shape of a kukri. So
right.
Yeah, it's weird. It's difficult.
Yeah, which, I just spent, like I said, 30 minutes Googling and came up with a rough design. It's basically, if you were to take a skinning knife, right, and you were to put a gut hook right underneath the guard, so it's going parallel with the blade, so it's on the back side instead of the tip curving back like normal hunting blades, because I still want to keep that long, straight for slicing. But it's also going to be about an 1/8 inch thick, right? Is that what we decided on?
I would say don't go any less than an 1/8.
What do you think? A quarter or an 1/8?
I don't know.
It's not. My Gerber's maybe an 1/8 inch, and it hacked through those trees fine.
Yeah. So, it just depends on your preference. The best thing I can tell you is get around it and then get the different ones in your hand
Yeah.
and find out what you like.
I'll probably go with an 1/8.
Yeah.
I feel like that's all I need especially for a skinning. You got to keep it kind of lean.
Yeah.
You don't want a fat old blade in
Right.
there trying to
see,
tear up everything.
I was out there setting up a new food plot out at my deer hunting site, and it had always been pissing me off. I'd be up in my tree stand, I'd try to look left, and there's all these little bitch-ass saplings, and they just are always in the way, constantly. 100% of the time, I cannot look left, and it just pisses me off. So they're all probably that big around. Some of them were a little bigger like that. And I just took my Gerber and I started going to town just whacking at them. And it was cutting through, relatively efficiently. And I would get probably 45, maybe 40% through them. And then I would just push them over and they would crack, right? And I just leave them there because then I don't need to take them to a burn pile or anything. They're just fine there. So that was doing pretty well. And then I took one big swing at a big one and I felt all the skin right here just peel back on my finger. I was like, oh no. And then I felt it on my thumb too, so I've got these 2 spots from it. But last weekend was youth season, so I took my nephew hunting. Kind of a weird family lineup, but basically my nephew, took him hunting, and I was trying to use my Gerber then to skin and quarter up the deer. When it came to burpee. When it came to actually quartering, it was really, really effective. Like, it was, a big, sturdy blade. And it's got a little bit of serration on it. It doesn't have a gut hook, though, which was an issue for me because I needed a fucking gut hook to do it properly. It was really annoying having to make little, small cuts and then stick my hand underneath the surface to push the stomach down because the stomach bloats almost immediately.
Yeah.
So as you cut past the stomach, it immediately fills the void and comes out of the deer. So with a gut hook, you can just stick it in there and just rip all the way down pretty quickly, and it slices fine, doesn't pierce the stomach, which is the main thing. But yeah, I needed something for hunting, skinning, and bushcraft, which is not a lot of options. So I designed. It's like a skinning knife. This is where I was going. I got sidetracked, but it's like a skinning knife. So it's like a typical triangle shape with a pretty big belly for chopping. And then I added a gut hook to the backside facing forward perpendicular with the blade, which is not something I've ever seen. It just seems like the only place I could really put it without putting it on the spine halfway up or something. But I don't like that anyway, and I think it looks pretty cool. What do you think?
It was all right.
It looked kind of...
I thought it was pretty neat.
Yeah, it looked kind of cool.
But I know nothing about anything.
I don't either. See, that's why I'm running everything by him. So I'm like, hey, I just made this fucking Frankenstein knife, because that's pretty much what it is. I've got it sharpened where a knife would typically be sharpened, and then I want to sharpen it on that top edge too, for stabbing. But then the sharpened part stops, and there's about 2 inches where I want to serrate it, for having to saw anything. Not something I typically have to do, but again, for bushcrafting, might be easier than chopping away at something for a while, which again means that my handle would have to be relatively round and not finger grooves or anything in it.
Right.
So that's why I kind of went with that antler, but the antler looks strange on it. But it could just be because I put it together on paint and
you can also polish it and finish it and make it look a different color, and I don't know. I mean, you can't expect too much.
I'm thinking of going with like an oval type handle instead of round like an antler, like an oval, maybe like a leather wrap or something.
Yeah.
What do they put over leather that makes it into a handle? Is it like polyurethane or something?
Probably.
There's different ways you can seal it. I don't know exactly what the chemicals are, but
because I was looking at pictures and they look really shiny, like polyurethane.
Yeah. I don't know.
Could be completely wrong.
Yeah,
totally wrong.
Who knows?
I'm still pretty new at this. So,
yeah.
I mean, I would think it's another craft. It's something that takes years and years to get good at. Some of those bladesmiths you see have been doing it their entire life. So I guess those guys probably made some just disgusting pieces of metal back in their day.
See, and that's what I'm nervous about, because I'm gonna have to buy the metal.
You gotta
to do
fail.
This,
you gotta fail to succeed, man.
Right. Well, I was really nervous, which is why I went to Drew's house to begin with, was because I didn't know what all equipment I needed. Like I said, everything I know about knife making comes from the show Forged in Fire.
Yeah.
So it's pretty limited. I wouldn't say limited. I would just say I'm still pretty ignorant to the actual process in your hand. Because you learn a lot from that show, I feel like. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you learn the basics. You learn some of the more advanced techniques people do. You don't get to see them do it necessarily, but you at least get to see it.
Chris
So-
Ewing asks, he said, sorry to interrupt you, he said, what's
Go
your favorite prey, as in Prey,
Oh,
to hunt?
well, I've hunted everything except like ducks and geese.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where I got Gus out of that.
That was
I've hunted most types of animals, besides like your larger game like that's not around here, like elk. It's in eastern Kentucky and shit.
Mm-hmm.
But by far, deer is my favorite.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. Chris
Yeah.
also asked, he said, how many knives have you made, Drew?
not much. I mean, I'm still relatively. I probably made less than a dozen. for
Less than a
sure.
dozen. How long
Yeah.
does it normally take you to put one together that you're actually okay with?
It really just depends on what you want to do.
Mhm.
Some can take 6 to 8 hours. That's the entire process. If you're trying to make a masterpiece, I mean, you could spend a solid 24 hours of work on it or more. I mean, especially you get into things like Damascus steel.
That shit's pretty.
Yeah, I mean, some of those are just works of art, and they can go 30, 36 hours of literally time just into the steel before you get it, even to make it a knife. I've never done anything like that. I probably don't have the patience for it. There's really two different aspects to knife making. Forged in fire, those guys forge, right? They're blacksmiths. They find a piece of steel, they heat it up, they beat it into the general shape they want, and they grind the rest. Mine's stock removal. I get a flat piece of steel, I draw my design, I put it on there, and if you can color in the lines with a grinder, then
Yeah.
you probably won't mess it up too bad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, those guys, of course, make lots of money off selling them too. I mean, you know, those guys that you see on that show are some of the best.
And they
you know.
talk about how if they get kicked off the show like first round or they do something stupid and like their blade cracks or fails, they won't have any knife sales for deep. And if they win, then like they immediately start selling a fuckload of knives. It's insane.
It's a gamble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zach Cox said 90% denim, 10% forehead. It's going to be a good one.
Oh god. I love that fucking guy.
Just
Hey, if
see
he was in
exact-
here, it'd be like 80% forehead.
I was gonna say, he's one to talk about. A
He's got more
forehead.
forehead surface area than he does that entire denim jacket.
Oh, boy. Yeah. This is going to be a good one. Dakota's in here, too. Kendall, good to see you, man.
Everybody's gonna leave now. That we're calling,
Yep.
calling them out.
You know
Every
how
time
it
we
goes.
talk about who joins the live stream, they all bounce. Like everybody, just one after another.
Don't want to be next.
Yeah. Oh God, don't tell anybody I'm in here.
Jacob Zach says he also has more dick than you, too, so
Well, he's black. What do you?
unfair advantage.
There's a bear shit in the woods.
Well, yeah, if you're a child, go ahead and tune out now.
If you're a child, you should have never been listening to this podcast from the beginning.
rated R. That's why we put the graphic warning at the beginning.
Oh, you do?
Oh, yeah, not the live
What's it
stream.
say?
Sorry, it's just like everything that happens. Viewer discretion is advised.
That's fantastic.
Well, I mean, some of the stuff. I mean, people get
sauce
triggered.
cast.
So yeah, people get triggered so easy, man.
You
know,
and Sasha. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that like all the stuff that we talk about on this podcast, like some of it, like the stuff we're talking about now, not controversial. We're talking about knife making.
Yeah.
But sometimes we're talking about conspiracies. Sometimes we're talking about like just people getting like
Ho facts.
yeah, hope facts. Somebody called in.
Did you hear about that?
Oh, that was
But I
pretty
want
funny. You guys have to go back and watch that live stream. The last live stream we did, a guy called in and suggested the business
Hofax report.
proposal of Hofax, which you'll have to listen into that. That was pretty interesting to say the
Is
least.
that like Carfax?
Carfax
But
for women. Yeah.
That's great.
We were trying to figure out if it would update live or not so you could tell if a bitch cheated on you.
Oh
Good
yeah,
thing
that's
they don't
right.
have like Brofax.
That's
That-
exactly
that would
what
be
everyone said.
a much longer list.
Yeah.
Well, with men, you're supposed to divide by 2, and with women, you're supposed to multiply by 2. So if I'm like, hey, Chase, how many bitches you fuck? And he's like, oh, 58. So you divide by 2 to get the realistic number.
Right.
But with women, it's the opposite. So how many men have you had sex with? 3. So 6. Got it.
Zach said, drink a beer
Christ.
for me, Drew, or 2 or 3 or 5. Yeah, so him and old Kendall are.
He could go all night.
Yeah,
those two motherfuckers are wild. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. There's some wild stuff going on in the news too, man. You know, there's always something going on, man. It's cool that you get to stay up to date on everything, you know, as far as technology is concerned. All the new phones are about to start rolling out and everything.
Did y'all see the CNN report on Trump supposedly telling... it's the wire on your mic. It sounds like a baby crying.
Well, what did Trump do? Was he talking smack again?
No. So that whole thing, he was saying how... he sends letters and calls the widows of fallen soldiers where past presidents haven't done that, and it's completely not correct. Like, past presidents have done that. Well, then it went one step further because a congresswoman from some fucking where was in the vehicle with the fallen soldier's widow, and she reported that Trump said, well, he knew what he signed up for. And that was like super disrespectful or something. Well, that was not the full quote at all. The full quote was much more sincere. Look it up real quick so I don't incorrectly quote, but it was much more sincere. And it was funny going back to watch the news reports on it because the congresswoman started her story saying one quote and has now like backed up 4 notches to where she's completely changed the quote entirely, and like, well, I didn't hear the whole conversation. Well, then why did you tell the media about it, you dumb cunt?
Popular to hate the president these days.
Yeah, it is, and I don't love the president, but I don't that's what I don't understand. It's literally like being on a plane and wishing the pilot fucks up and kills everybody.
Wow, this is pretty wild. So I literally typed in Trump quote to veteran's widow or widow, whatever, and all that I'm getting is like New York Daily News. That's like he knew what he signed up for. He knew what he signed up for. He knew what he signed up for. Quote unquote. That's all that they're saying on all these on. Maybe we can find Fox or something like that. Maybe they.
It took 7 words out of a paragraph.
Yeah, that's what the
media does.
Yeah, they're really good at that.
Yeah, find the full quote.
I'm trying
to. It was. I mean, just in the fact of if you were to say that in a shitty tone, like, well, he knew what he signed up for, so I'm not sorry that he's dead. Obviously, that's not the position the president's going to be taking. Yeah. So, in a sense, it's like, I'm trying to comfort you because somebody we know died overseas. Like, well, he knew what he signed up for. You know, like, don't be like pissed off that he died doing what he wanted to do because he knew what he signed up for. That's a fact. I mean, he knew what he signed up for.
You could almost be like remarking on someone's courage or bravery.
Right.
Like, he knew what he signed up for and he did it anyways. Like
exactly.
He
and that was
done it again.
That was was part of the quote. He was complimenting.
Good Lord, they do not want to freaking let go.
Buried, isn't it?
Yeah, like they're really not like they're just showing what everybody else is saying about it, even on Fox News. It's like, goodness gracious, like this is the issue with the media right now. We don't even really know the story. We just have to take their word for it.
We'll see it on Trump News. Did you guys see that shit?
Yeah, he's got his own like news outlet now. That's hilarious.
Trump has his own news.
That is hilarious.
It's almost scary.
It's called Twitter.
Yeah, no shit. It's almost scary. Like, I don't know if I support it or not. I guess everybody's got the right to have news. I mean, in a sense, we do that here. We can talk about whatever we want. So I guess this could be considered news if you're listening to the situation for the first time from us. It's highly ill-advised.
I think it's as much as he's demonized, it's almost like his wisest play to be able to bypass the media as much as he can.
Yeah, but then you're almost... I can't watch Trump News and say, okay, this is 100% true either.
Yeah, no.
Because obviously that's going to be significantly biased when his name is in the fucking news channel name, you know?
As biased as watching CNN.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying anybody else is less biased. Yeah. I'm just saying it almost feels like it's one way or the other. Like we either get fed a load of bullshit or you get fed Trump facts.
Who was it? Is it Denzel Washington? Did you ever hear his quote on the media?
Where he's wearing that stupid little hat.
I don't remember. I don't know. I don't know what he was wearing. I do know he said, what did he say? If you read the news, if you don't listen to the news, you're uninformed. If you do, you're misinformed. I was like, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's fair. You're struggling to find this quote, aren't you?
I know.
It might be buried.
Well,
type in like full Trump quote.
That's exactly what I typed in, and I'm on like
page 19.
Good Lord. Trump knew. Quotes are right there.
How is this a bigger story than Harvey
Somebody
Weinstein right now?
Well, I mean, okay. So wait, before we switch topics, we'll hit that next.
No, I'm just like curious.
Right.
How?
Read that Facebook comment. Go ahead and abandon this. Just everybody take not for an example, but take this literally that they took a quote out of context. On that in that particular situation, that is a fact.
Yeah.
That cannot be all he said to the widow. So it's 100% out of context.
Right.
Hello.
Yes, this is your president, Mr. Donald J. Trump. He knew what he signed up for, bitch. Bye.
Yeah, no, he definitely didn't say it. He's probably got a prompt he's got to read from to these people, and he probably throws in his own stuff like he does with everything.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Chris Ewing said, should a president really focus on releasing media? Doesn't he have an office specific for that? I mean,
yes, he does, and that's the office that's releasing it. It's not him sitting there in a chair.
Oh, okay.
No, it's her last name is Trump, so she's definitely related. But
yeah, that's right. I think that's what they said in the video. Yeah, I mean, you wanted to jump off to another topic.
No, we can go. I mean, whatever we want to talk about.
I can't find the quote, and I think that the last website that I looked at said that the full quote wasn't released, and that's why they're getting mad about it.
It was definitely released.
Yeah, it probably was.
Trump made sure it was released. What do you mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably on
Anyhow, the Harvey Weinstein thing, I don't know. Everybody's like grenaded about it. And don't get me wrong, it's disgusting. But like they've also completely bypassed the Olympic doctor. I can't even remember his name, so that tells you it's been completely bypassed. He has hundreds of victims. I'll say majority. I'm pretty sure it was all, but I'll say majority of the victims were minors. And it was a mandatory doctor's exam, and he would basically just finger bang these prepubescent women.
What the hell? I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're not famous celebrities.
Whoa, yeah. We got U.S. gymnast doctor abused her at 13. Whoa. Dr. Larry Nassar molested her. Oh, that was the hashtag Me Too thing that was coming. Oh, that's the girl with the this face.
I think Me Too is for all sexually harassed or abused women.
That girl. I'm not trying to play the video. Whoop. That girl that had the you guys remember that smirk
Michaela
face?
Maroney.
Yeah, I can't actually. There we go. That's let me read exactly what this says. Oh, look, I'm struggling. Look at me struggle. Everybody look at me struggle.
All right, Chase, come on. What the fuck?
All right, let's see.
Put it back up there.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you could read it. I know you can't.
I can read it. That's all that matters.
Okay.
Look at that face, Drew. What's that face look like? She looks like you just came in at 3 o'clock in the morning drunk as fuck.
That's exactly what that looks like. This is not just happening in Hollywood. This is happening everywhere.
She super disapproves.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, she disapproves.
There's a position of power. There seems to be potential for abuse, quote.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, that's definitely true. Wherever there's power, there's going to be abuse of power.
Thought I was going to die that night. Can I get the rest of that?
For me, the scariest night of my life happened when I was 15 years old. I had flown all day and night with the team to get to Tokyo. He had given me a sleeping pill for the flight. And the next thing I know, I was all alone with him in his hotel room getting a, quote, treatment, end quote. I thought I was going to die that night. Why'd you think you were going to die?
If you wake up in a hotel room, jeez, if somebody gave me a damn sleeping pill.
It wasn't like he slipped it to her.
Well, I mean, he kind of used his position of power.
Definitely. I'm not denying that.
Yeah, right. So I guess if a doctor says, here, take this, it'll help you sleep on the flight. We got a long flight to, what was it, Beijing, where this happened? I don't know. I can't remember.
How fucked up is that, though, that he called them treatments? You have a treatment. A fucking intervaginal treatment before every time you compete? How does that make sense? Why did she not tell it? What do you think she told her parents? And was like, this doctor keeps finger banging me before my competitions?
I don't know how many times it happened, and it probably happened to multiple.
Well, she said it was when she was 13, and that quote said
when
she
I
was 15.
Yeah.
So at least 2 years.
At least twice. Or at least two different times, at least 2012. 2012 teammates tweeted expressions of her support. I didn't mean to say to that, but I mean, it's apparently a super big deal in the world of gymnastics. Of course,
but you don't see it at all. You only see Harvey Weinstein, which now he's actually fighting the termination from TWC, the Weinstein Company. 'Cause apparently he had put in the contract of his employment. He had it's so fucked up. He had put in the contract about how, when you like sexually harass somebody or an allegation comes out against you, the company may demand like reparations for any financial harm done to the company because of that allegation. And he put in there a max that he can pay. So for like each, I think it was each allegation was $250,000, up to like 3 or 4 allegations, and each subsequential was $1 million. And the only way he could get fired was for what was it? Fraud. Was like the only grounds for termination, and he committed no fraud, so he's like trying to get his job back at the Weinstein Company.
So I haven't been able to keep up with it at all.
It's nuts.
So what did this guy actually do?
So
or allegedly, what has he
basically,
done?
what I gathered is that he used his position of power, which was deciding who gets roles, who gets what roles in what movies, etc. And he would invite women up to like his Four Seasons hotel room. Apparently, it was always like the same hotel, but he would invite them up there, and everyone in the industry knew what he did. Hell, even Joe Rogan talked about it on his podcast. He knew that Harvey Weinstein was a sick fuck. But the women were largely, I would not say okay with it, but they participated because they wanted the roles.
They were they were willing to basically sell themselves to get what they wanted.
And some of them even put it in a written agreement that if they fucked Harvey, then they would get this role.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to sit back and say, like, fuck Harvey, because don't get me wrong, it's fucked up. Like, for some of the ones that were unsolicited, I guess. But where do we draw the line at sexual harassment and just trying to get some puss? If you invite a woman to your hotel room, okay, so say I'm Harvey Weinstein, right?
Okay.
And you're trying to be in my movie. And I'm like, well, Chase, go ahead and come up to my hotel room. And I'm like, all right, so you can suck my dick for this role in the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, that's definitely using your position of power to get some puss.
Right.
Or dick in this case.
Which is morally kind of wrong.
That's absolutely fucked up. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
However, if I was like, hey, I think you're pretty hot, why don't you suck my dick? That's a completely different scenario.
Yeah.
And from what I can gather from these allegations, he never forwardly said, hey, suck my dick. It was always giving me a massage or something alluding to
which almost
physical contact.
Doesn't almost make it any better for him, because if it's at least agreed upon, then you have mutual consent.
Yeah.
Where it gets kind of weird is when you don't have that express consent, because then it's almost like, not really. I don't know. It's such a weird situation. I mean, Chris says it right here. He said, the amount of stuff that happens in Hollywood is astounding. There has been sexual assaults on child stars for years, going all the way back to Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz.
And I want to make clear that in this scenario I was just talking about, I was not talking about minors by any means. I'm talking about fully grown adults consenting in sex, not little girls or little boys going up there.
But I mean, it's not foreign. It's not a foreign idea that this has happened. But
and that's happened ever since the beginning of fucking time. Positions of power being leveraged. It's what power is.
Yeah.
It's the ability to leverage. So if I could be like, hey, I want some puss, and you can get the lead role in this movie, and you're like, God damn, that's gonna make me famous. So I'm gonna make millions of dollars from taking this cock one time. I'd sign up for that. What do you mean? It's $1 million cock right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can process it. It's not like something I can't process, but it's just like, do you penalize the guy? And like you said, he's got this weird contract where it's like he has to mess up real bad.
In specific ways.
In specific ways. And see, that's just him, playing his cards
patting
right.
himself.
Which, I know, which is kind of sick, but at the same time, it's like, can you really do anything? You can shun the guy and be like, I don't want to, watch any of his stuff or support him in any way. So
I don't know if any. It could, and don't take my word, because like I said, this. I don't know how many people have came out on Twitter, etc. The whole thing is disgusting. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. I'm just trying to put a line in the sand between what we're going to consider to be sexual harassment and what we're going to consider to just be this guy getting some pussy.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, and he may have, like I said, I don't know how all the allegations that I don't have enough time to read all that bullshit.
Yeah.
But if he didn't rape anybody, like he's not a Bill Cosby, he didn't drug women and rape them.
Well, we don't know.
Right. But from what we do know, allegedly.
Yeah. What we allegedly do know.
Yeah. Is that he didn't drug anybody and finger them at 15 years old like the Olympic doctor did.
Yeah.
What we do know is that he invited women to his hotel room and made advances. Okay, making advances is perfectly harmless as long as they're over the age of consent, right? If they're 18 plus, make advances all day long. If they don't like it, they can say, "Hey, I don't like that," or just fucking bounce.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, right. And
then it's sexual
legally,
harassment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if I'm like, Jace, let me get that cock, and you're like, dog, I'm not like that. I'm like, oh, okay, my bad. Mm-hmm. That's totally fine. I'm just trying to see what you're into.
Yeah.
But if I'm like, Jace, let me get that cock, you're like, no, dog, and I'm like, no, seriously, let me get that cock. Then, okay, now that's unwanted attention. So I can see there's a fine line there, but women are trying to play this card where it's like, if I just ask you on a date, it's fucking sexual harassment. If I look at you passing me on the sidewalk, that's sexual harassment. No, bitch, it's just me looking at you. Okay? There's nothing wrong. For some reason, I'm getting hyped up. We've gotten to this point in our society that we are not allowed to be attracted to each other. Like, okay, you're objectifying women. But the same bitches who fucking say that are the first ones to put out these hot firefighter videos. I shared that shit today.
Yeah.
BuzzFeed is constantly talking about objectifying women and how fucked up it is. Oh, you're just looking at her tits. Yes, I'm looking at her tits. It's how we're fucking wired. There's nothing wrong with looking at her tits. We look for fertility, and that is a sign of fertility. Same as good hips, good ass.
Yeah.
It's all a sign of fertility. It's why we're attracted to them, because we're meant for reproducing.
There's a biological basis for attraction, of course.
Right.
100%.
It doesn't just, we're not some fucked up being that all of us have to bury this attraction for one another. It's our goal in life is to reproduce and spread our seed. Drew, you are totally quiet, dog.
He's just letting this one ride.
Yeah.
He's like, I came to talk about knives and hunting and other things.
But I'm just saying, so you're like, click on that fucking firefighter video and see how many of these fucking social justice warriors are commenting there. Oh my God, I got some fire in my pants you can put out.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but let's put some women firefighter videos on there of them in bikinis or them topless like the firefighters were. If we're going to call it apples to apples, let them be topless. And then let's see how many guys come in there. Oh, I got a fire in my pants you can put out, baby. And it's like, oh, that's so fucked up. Oh my God, I can't believe you just said that to her. Like, what do you mean you can't believe I just said that? The bitch is naked on a video on Facebook. Did you think she just did that by accident? She just stumbled on the set in a fucking firefighter outfit? No, she meant to be there. She's getting a check to be there. She knows she's hot. She's got great tits, and she's holding a puppy. Something everyone can appeal to.
I mean, you're not wrong. I have no objections.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We got to chill out with we can't be attracted to each other shit.
Yeah, it's still taboo, even in this world of like, sex and lust and erotic everything, and then it's still taboo to even, I mean, I think Katie brought it up on the last podcast too. She was just like, so taboo, but in Japan,
it's totally open there.
It's just totally open there because they don't even care.
They have a whole festival for me, the Steel Phallus Festival.
But
Steel Phallus is Japanese for Jacob Payne. That's what I looked it up.
By the way, that's an American term, steel and phallus. But anyways, we got some people tuning in the live stream right now. If you guys could comment and let us know what kind of drawing you want us to do next, what kind of giveaway you want us to do. We could do gift cards, tickets like we've done in the past. We'd like some feedback just to get you guys more involved in what you guys as an audience want. Let us know, drop a comment, send us a message, call into the podcast, let us know, talk smack. We don't care.
Numbers in the comments.
Yeah, numbers in the comments.
Feel free to call in and call me a bigot or a chauvinistic faggot or something. I don't care. I can take it. I'm a big boy.
Caleb Falkenberg said, "Hi, Drew."
Hey.
So
what's up?
What's up?
What's up?
Drew said about 3 words since he came.
He started feeling that heat radiating off of you.
Yeah.
What?
Those 3.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
But yeah, we definitely want to do more giveaways and stuff for the podcast. We know you guys love it, and we want to be able to give back to you guys. We're all about providing you guys entertainment and, keeping you guys up to date on the stuff that we find interesting, and hopefully you guys find interesting as well. And, just kind of drop us a comment. Let's see. Chris says he needs a gift card to PetSmart. His cat needs food. And he also wants to hear...
What a bitch.
And he said he wants to hear Drew talk about swords. Have you ever made a sword, Drew?
I have not made a sword.
Made a sword,
not
just
yet.
blades, not small knife. What's the
Yeah.
biggest chunk of metal you've carved out?
He's got a fucking fat one at his house right now.
Yeah, I'm
That one
working
you're making for Bill,
I'm
right?
working on a Tonto bladed kukri
Ooh.
right now, so that one's really thick. Other than that,
It's half an inch thick.
it's thick, man.
It's retarded thick.
Yeah, even
It's
if it
like
wasn't sharp, you could just throw it at somebody.
195 black girl thick.
It's thick.
She ain't fat, bruh. It's just a little thick.
Just a little thick with 2 C's.
Other than that, I got about a 12 or 13-inch Bowie knife. I haven't ventured out there yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
They're difficult.
Yeah. And it would be more of like a show thing. It's not really you can do much with a full-length sword, anymore.
Cut milk cartons and watermelon.
Water bottles.
Yeah,
Make YouTube videos.
That's what I do.
pretty much.
Yeah. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool, man. I never really paid too much attention to stuff like that, but like you never really realize how much you need a knife or a cutting tool until you actually need one, and
Yeah.
you be surprised how many times you actually need to cut or tear something, and you end up having to use your teeth, like I was doing earlier with freaking tape, and that's no fun. But I don't know, man. I think that's such a cool hobby though, because it's like it's one of those hobbies where it's like you can get so good at it that it's like a lot of other hobbies. You can get so good at it, become a master of it, and literally live off of it, Like, you see, like, on that show, I mean, you see these guys who have been doing it for 16, 20, 30, 35, 40
It's insane,
years.
yeah.
And these guys, they just look at a piece of steel and they'll be like, that'll be perfect. And it's like they can see all the imperfections, and it's just like that mastery of some sort of craft like that. It's just always fascinating to see. And it's like you don't really think about it much because it's just a piece of metal and they carve it down, they put a handle on it. But like you watch a show like that, or you watch somebody actually do it, or build one, or watch one of those Now This videos on Facebook, and you're like, whoa, this is a craft, this isn't just like, like knitting or something like that. This is like a craft that takes a lot of effort and time, and you were saying earlier, there's like certain stuff that like, certain pieces that you'll spend 36 hours on just to get into the right shape or whatever. I mean,
The Damascus steel, when you get into stuff like that and folding it, I mean, it can get pretty extensive. I haven't done that yet. Plan to in the future, but
there's probably a lot of more equipment you need, probably, right?
yeah, and no.
Yeah,
You
no,
can always get
do it by hand.
Yeah, you can always get finer equipment, but at the
Yeah.
same time, a lot of these guys, I mean, where it started out was, I mean, you had a hammer and you had an anvil, and
Yeah,
you just pounded away at it.
yeah,
And
that's
I love
true.
it.
What's your goal for it?
As far as what do you mean?
Like, are you just making knives on the side, or are you wanting to like grow it, sell it to people?
No, I definitely do want to grow it. I got vision for business, and that's what I want to take it to. Knives for outdoorsmen, as far as what have you.
You gonna run my Frankenstein blade?
Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
no, sure not.
Yeah.
And thing's fucking ugly.
We'll make that and give it away to you.
Give it away to
your
the.
viewers. No,
I'm gonna call it the Jote, Joat, Jack of all trades. Hey, fuck you guys.
To be determined.
It's gonna be functional. God damn it.
You make anything sharp enough, it'll be functional.
It'll definitely be specific to what I need it for, which is like stuff.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris wants to know what got you into blacksmithing. I think you talked about it a little bit, but
Well, yeah, we did talk about it. I think what got me back into it was martial arts,
Mhm.
probably.
Really?
Training under Bill, yeah.
Bill Mayfield.
Yeah.
oh,
We've had him on the show too.
We only speak highly of the guy.
Yeah, I know.
If you know what's good for you.
Yeah, you don't want to speak badly of the guy.
Hey, Bill. No, so he teaches a Filipino art, Kali.
Pikiti Tertia.
Petey Tercer, Kali, and in that I got to really see how nasty blades were. Like after seeing some demonstrations of that martial art, please shoot me. Like if you're ever gonna harm me, like shoot me. There's just something very deep and personal, I guess, about it. And so, I would look at these knives online like, oh, I want a good EDC knife. I want a good folder. I want a good fixed blade. I want, and I would see the prices on these things, and I was like, at the time, I was welding and things like that. I was like, this is a piece of metal, and this thing is $240.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. I can do this,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd been around it a little bit, so I got some tools, and I started doing it, and sure enough, I can do it. So I don't have to pay for them anymore, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
careful
you're
with that. It'll come through the sound quality.
That's what
Nah, you're
I'm
fine.
working on.
Go ahead and hold up your left hand for me. Now repeat after me. I am happily married. Jess commented on here already.
Yeah. Keeping you in check.
Oh, she's a
We
good
got
woman.
to.
You got to keep her there. Don't raise your eyebrows. You're live, dog. Oh
In
man.
trouble.
Yeah, fuck it. Not fuck it. You should care.
I think what else got me into it.
Don't be like me.
Don't be like checking
I won't.
Yeah.
I also like the historical aspect for for as long as you can remember, since Cain killed Abel with a rock. Blades have been around. Shortly
Yeah.
after, and for thousands of years, that's how wars were fought. Farmers needed tools. This, that, and the other. Throughout history, I mean, that's what you had. You had blades. You had blacksmith. They made everything go around, and I don't know. I really like it. I like connecting with it. I like the history behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Just enjoy it.
Just in general. Yeah, I mean, that's like that with a lot of other hobbies, too, that have, some kind of historical background to it. Obviously, there's some hobbies and stuff like that have just been around for a couple decades or less than that, like drone flying and stuff like that. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with it. That's pretty awesome. I think it's badass. Thanks, man. But there's something really intimate about a tradition or an art that has been passed down since, like you said, Cain and Abel. I mean, literally since we could stab people, and kill each other. We've been, finding better and better ways to do so. And so to see that, and I mean, it's like, then you see like really, really cool stuff. Like you see like some of the ancient Egyptian pharaohs who had like meteorite daggers and stuff like that they were buried with, and cool shit like that. And you're just like, oh man, like it's got some really thick content to it. I mean, you could read for days and days and days about
Meteorite daggers.
Well, I mean about
That's
the art of
badass.
steel and iron and
I would love to stab someone with a meteorite.
I know, dude. That thing's traveled literally hundreds of millions of light years through the cosmos to land on our planet to get jabbed into some dude's sternum.
Don't even fucking talk to me about it. Me and Drew were talking about this last night.
Yeah.
He boiled it down to what is a thought and blew my fucking mind.
What is a thought?
What is a thought?
I don't fucking know. I guess like what did I say? Electrical neurons firing. I guess is technically what it is.
I think what you asked. You asked.
Well, you said
You asked what a soul was, right?
no.
I think you did. You said what is a soul, and as far as like a Judeo-Christian worldview of a soul, like it's not tangible.
Okay.
You're like, what is a soul?
Let's go
right?
for
I
it.
was like, I don't know. What's a thought? You know what I mean? How
Yeah.
do you know that a thought's real if you can't hold it? I mean,
Well, it's weird because like if you could go to a morgue per se and grab one of everything that takes to make a living human being and you sewed them all together in proper functioning order, it wouldn't be a person. It wouldn't be alive. It would just be parts sewn together. So there's definitely something in us that makes us work, whether it's electricity or I don't know.
It's an
But-
amalgamation of things.
though they-
Millions of years of
Yeah.
evolution.
Well, oh, easy.
Oh yeah.
We talked about this last night too. Evolution. You said he didn't understand the evolution standpoint, so we talked about that for a little while. And chimpanzees are in the Stone Age right now, which is fucking dope. So in a couple million years, they might be
how
people
are chimpanzees in the Stone Age?
because they're making tools out of like rocks. That's cool. That's really cool. But nobody teaching them how to do it. They're just doing it in the wild.
Yeah.
So they're learning and adapting to their surroundings. So that's really cool.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, literally, we could have this conversation for hours. I mean, there's so, like, we're talking about millions of years.
Yeah.
Which
Drew brought up a really fucking good point last night that I didn't think about. And he was saying that what scientists say or not, or atheists or whatever you want to say that evolutionary standpoint believers are, is that God didn't just go poof, life everywhere. It's like it happened over millions and millions and millions of years. We evolved from basically a little bit bigger than bacteria to where we've gotten now. Yeah. Not humans in particular, but life form. So, but he said that what we know, because I told him, he said, what do you perceive as the truth? And I was like, what we can see, what we can touch, what we know to be true by facts and like in the world around us. And he said, the one thing that we know is true is that life can only come from life.
Period. And
so
even like,
So where did that first microbe get its life from?
I have a Judeo-Christian worldview. That means I believe the Bible is 100% true. I believe, God said, "Let there be light." God created the heaven and the earth. That book to me is truth. Unlike an evolutionist who, a lot of times I will say that I believe God created the heaven and the earth. And under an evolutionist or an atheist logic, they would say something like, well, who made your God? And I would say, nobody. He's always been. They're like, well, that's ridiculous. I was like, well, where'd you come from? He said, well, the rains poured out on the rocks and the primordial ooze and the single-celled bacteria came and the Big Bang. And I was, well, if you trace it back far enough, we were both made by something with no creator. Doesn't matter how far back you want to trace it. At some point, something was made with no creator.
Whether it be God or us.
Well,
they both operate under the same
Is God life?
Logic.
Is God life or is God spirit?
God is...
What would you do? What would God be?
Well, God is infinite. God is... The only thing that God lacks is the finite. That's the thing. That's the whole concept around the overman, the God figure that people cling to. In all walks of life. It doesn't matter if you're a religious person, doesn't matter if you're you, me, a person on the other side of the planet. Everybody has this situation where they have to grapple with the infinite every single day. I mean, just look up.
Yeah.
Just look up. We don't know. There's so much we don't know. And people have to cope with that, and we've been trying to cope with it for a very, very long time. Now, I don't want to step on any of your beliefs because I want to be
an open conversation.
Yeah, this is an open conversation.
Yeah. He doesn't get offended. We talk about all this.
I figure you wouldn't, but I want to preface it with that. Now, I believe honestly that the Bible does hold many, many truths. Okay, there are many things that are placed in the Bible that are 100% morally true, ethically true.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Now, nobody really needs. Okay, in my personal opinion, people don't really want to look or shouldn't really look at the Bible for scientific truths. Now, there may be some scientific truths in the Bible. I'm not saying that there's not. But when you're talking about a book that is as old as it is, that is a bunch of scriptures, accounts taken from thousands of people throughout the years.
Modified over time. Too.
Yeah, and there's different people have had their hands on it and changed it. So what we hear now is just the echoes of what it really was when it was put together, or as it was being put together till this time. You have to think, I mean, we've come such a long, long way. Think about 10 generations ago. What do you think your ancestors were doing 10 generations ago? If they lived to be about 60 to 70, and then it even decreased lower than that when you go back 4 or 5 generations, we were hitting each other with stones and clubs, for resources.
Yeah, but people still can't tell me how the pyramids were built. I mean, like, we like to believe that we've come all this way, but I'm still seeing
hundreds of years of slave labor. That's exactly how they were built.
I mean, the biggest issue with that is we just haven't put all the pieces together. We don't have all the evidence. We have them. They're there, and they intrigue us, and they're fascinating because they're some of the largest wonders that we've ever seen, and people long before us put them together. I mean, the same thing with Göbekli Tepe. We still don't even understand how they put those together. Now, we do know that there are ways to put a stone structure like that together
and
without
Stonehenge. They're able to do that now,
right? And they found a way that there's a way to do it, but they don't realize that there's so many different inconsistencies when you put it all together, and that's why it really only leads you to the fact that human life may be much older than we thought, which only makes things even more difficult to accept. Because you look at Göbekli Tepe, I mean, that's like 7, almost 10,000 years. I mean, it's so much older than the Great Pyramids of Giza on the Giza Plateau that, and it's like 5,000 years older than Stonehenge. And this thing, we're talking about 17-ton, three-dimensional cut blocks into the sand. And we don't even know, they buried it. They buried it in a hill, and we don't even know why they did that. You know, and this, I mean, they're digging it up, and they're trying to figure out why 12,000 years ago they buried this, basically what looks like a temple. There's carvings on it, animals and stuff like that. We don't even know what's going on there. So we can't really assume anything about our past. The only thing that we can really kind of grasp are the stories and truths that are passed down through tradition, through sagas like the Bible, you know, through the Quran, that we know whether or not they are 100% scientifically true or if they actually happened, they hold a moral relevance in our society.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, we could go on
Let
this.
me ask you this.
Okay.
As someone with, I guess, an evolutionary perspective, where does moral come from?
Moral comes from, okay, so in my, from what I've amalgamated, from what I've learned, from the books I've read, from the people I've heard speak. So if you believe an evolutionist standpoint that we came from lower hominids, according to an article, possibly more than 350,000 years ago, before Homo sapiens showed up in South Africa and possibly Southern America. So when you take a transition from a primate who has a small reptilian brain and several other parts of their brain that doesn't really function the same way ours does, and they eventually get to a point where they think kind of like we do. They're saying that modern humans could have possibly existed 200,000+ years ago. Okay, so you have to think, all right, so morally good. Okay, let me get back to it. So morally good, you have to think, if we started from that basis, like if we're starting from an evolutionist standpoint, you know, monkeys don't understand the concept of good and bad. You know, we hardly understand good. No, a monkey, you can't say like that's bad, and he'll understand that. You can't show him that it's bad. He doesn't comprehend that it's bad.
He does through the reward process.
Through a reward process,
Yes,
right?
That's someone teaching him. He doesn't. What he's saying is he doesn't really have like an internal.
He doesn't have an internal moral. He doesn't have any intrinsic moral values.
Off of instinct.
Right, off of instinct, which is coded in your DNA, which they found out, which is really cool.
I wonder if that comes from the same way we domesticated dogs. All dogs stem from wolves. Wolves by nature would kill you just to get a free meal.
Right.
They're not coyotes. So we domesticated dogs by the naturally more timid coyotes coming near the fire. They would come closer and closer to the fire. We'd throw them scraps. For us throwing them scraps, they wouldn't eat us. They would stay around us because they were getting fed. The more aggressive ones that would try to eat us, we killed.
Right.
So I wonder if that was kind of the same concept.
I mean, it's the same. It's an aided evolutionary standpoint.
And we still have people that have no concept of morality.
Right.
Or
Okay.
conscience. So,
like I was saying, with morality, you have to understand what is morality. It's the ability to differentiate between good and evil, I guess. Or what would you? Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm saying. I have a clear concept of what is good and what is evil because I have a truth, which is the Bible, and in that I have a list of commandments. Right. Do this, don't do this. This is right. This is wrong. I guess what I'm asking is if you are to believe that we're just continually evolving, that I am more evolved in this species, essentially we're just animals that are aware of ourselves. Where's the law there? How do you have right and wrong? What stops me from, if I am just an animal and I want Jacob's water, who says it's wrong for me to club him over the head and take it? You know,
society.
What I mean? Yeah, but does society dictate good and wrong?
One thing that's ingrained in us, though, is the unwillingness to kill something of your own species.
But why?
And that's true all the way down to ants.
Because at our conception, whenever Homo sapiens started to show up, whenever we theorized that they began to show up, they traveled in groups of 10 to 13, 15, 20 at the most. But anything bigger than that would not last because when you get a group that big... Resources, dominance hierarchy, okay? Everybody wants to climb to the top of their dominance hierarchy, okay? Mm-hmm. More so in male traits than in female traits. So when you go back that far, when you're talking about hominids that have just basically started to develop the brain functions that we have now. The ability to even comprehend tomorrow, the ability to comprehend right now, the ability to comprehend preparation for tomorrow, to look at the past and learn from the past. That is enormous. You know, you're looking at, so if you're a sapien 250,000 years ago, you don't have a ironed out language, okay? Language is another thing that's helped us be able to develop and live together. I mean, so how can you even different? Okay, so you got good and bad, or good and evil, however you say, right and wrong, okay? How long would it take for a monkey to understand that? You know, if you're coming from it from an evolutionist standpoint. Okay, so you have good and evil. Good is you done something good for your group. Okay, so there's 10 Homo sapiens that travel in a group. Okay, Jacob's the one that always goes out and he brings back food, and enough food to feed everybody else. Okay, that's a good thing. You know, everybody can eat. That's a positive trait. Okay, that's good. You start to understand. Okay, we need to be more like Jacob. Okay, we need to eat, right? Okay, bad would be Chase. Chase comes back. When Jacob comes back with food, Chase eats it all. Does not leave anybody leave any for anybody else.
Chase gets clubbed because he has no morals.
Chase gets, you know...
They'd probably kill you if you ate their food.
Basically ousted. I mean, if you're talking about the simplest form of human interaction, okay, Homo sapien interaction, okay, so that's where you start to differentiate good from bad, okay? You understand, all right, so a snake. Snakes are always horrendous on our ancestors because they're small, they're on the ground, they bite you, you die. Okay? Plains of Africa, you can't even see them. Slither them through the sand, run up, bite you. Okay? Snakes are bad. You avoid them. You always avoid the snake. Snake is bad. That's why you see in so many different scriptures, you know, even in the Bible itself, Satan appears as a serpent. Okay? I mean, the Quetzalcoatl, the Aztec Mayan winged serpent. I mean, the great god that would come down from the skies and demand sacrifices. I mean, it's all built into us from hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, you have to think we got here one small step at a time from an evolutionist standpoint. Now, from, you know, a creationist one, it's more like, I guess, would be more like leaps, I guess. You know, you would have to clarify on that for me.
Let me interject here just for a second. Chris Ewing asks, could there have been another species that existed before mankind reached a state to remember them? And could they have helped create these inconsistencies?
A pre-Adamite race. Bible doesn't say anything about it, so in my opinion, no.
So no, okay.
But the Bible does say a lot about catastrophe and disasters that happen. You know, Tower of Babel. You know, Sodom and Gomorrah. You know, the crazy thing is, the more you dig deep into it, and the more we find out about our own past in the archaeological records, you know, some things line up and some things don't. Some things will stick and some things won't. I mean, Graham Hancock, Randall Carlson, and a couple other guys with the Comet Research Group, they put together a hypothesis that at the end of the Younger Dryas area, about 12 to 13,000 years ago, there was multiple comet impacts across the Earth that broke up the North American ice cap. Major flooding, documented in the Bible, documented in several other different religious scriptures. There was a flood. We know it. It's in the archaeological record. We know there was floods. You know, you got to think, America was covered with a mile-high sheet of ice. Where is it now?
It's very interesting, the things that they have found, especially things like even down in the Antarctica, they found things that I guess it was once a very thriving continent.
Yeah, wasn't it like rainforests and shit?
Yeah, I mean they found like palm trees. It's weird. The flood brought about in the Bible. It brought about such a geographical change. It's really pretty interesting. They found things like woolly mammoths that were still standing, frozen solid. The food in their belly was frozen, and the food in their mouth was frozen. That had to be such a rapid change for that to happen that fast with such a massive animal.
I feel like a flash freeze.
Yeah,
but how cold it actually had to be is insane. I mean, I've heard simple stories like, I forget the name, but there was a fella in Alaska. He was in his truck. And he was coming into town, and he hit a moose of all things to hit. I mean, big old moose. Anyways, so he his vehicle, it wasn't damaged too bad. He went on into town. He came back. He decided to go out the next morning to see if he could salvage any of that meat. You know what I mean? It's Alaska. I guess it's not much different than Kentucky. But when he went out, a moose, you know, pretty big animal, it was rancid on the inside because it froze a little bit from the outside in. But what that did is create a little thermal layer. Trap the heat, right? So the inside was rotten. Now, woolly mammoth is much larger than a moose, and it gets pretty dang cold in Alaska. I don't know exactly how cold, but I know pretty cold.
Pretty fucking
but
cold.
Only to
Cold
freeze
enough to freeze stuff.
that much, yeah. But for a woolly mammoth to be instantly flash frozen, I mean, you're talking about a crazy geological change. I mean,
I wonder if that's even scientifically possible, though.
What? Oh, yeah, it's possible.
To flash freeze 1,000-pound animal?
Yeah, if you got a comet that comes in from outer space and smashes into an ice cap and just incinerates a giant portion of it.
you're talking about a 4,000, 5,000 pound.
You're talking about like a 4,000 kiloton bomb basically just smashing into an ice cap, you know, evaporating the majority of it.
But how would that flash freeze a woolly mammoth? I mean, I could see drowning it if it fell into the water, but
let me give you a creationist, just from what my Bible says. It talks about up before Noah and the flood, it had never rained. You know, God told him, build this boat. You know, I'm bringing judgment.
It had never rained.
It had never rained. There was the firmament above, the firmament below. You can read about that in Genesis.
What's firmament?
The firmament basically was water. You know, a lot of people, creationists especially, speculate it to be about a 2 to 3 foot sheet of ice that literally encapsulated the earth. This would have been pretty crazy. It would have blocked out harmful UV rays. It also would have pressurized the earth to an extent.
So like the whole atmosphere was ice?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes. So it would have been like a pressurized greenhouse. The pre-flood world would have been pretty crazy. The oxygen levels would have been through the roof. Maybe like something off Avatar. I don't really know. Like, you know, just crazy. What I find is interesting, a lot of people want to speculate how the dinosaurs died. I think it's the Bronchiosaurus. I mean, this was a 85-foot-long dinosaur. I mean, he was massive. I don't know how many tons he was. I mean, he was definitely huge. But what they found about these dinosaurs, they literally have nostrils about the size of a horse. A lot of people don't believe that a meteorite killed them. They believe they suffocated him, that they suffocated due to the geological changes. Like oxygen pressure after the atmosphere was broken and it came down that first time.
Well, does the Bible acknowledge dinosaurs?
Yes.
It does?
Book of Job.
What's it say?
It just talks about, there's 2 beasts it describes. One is the Leviathan. It's a water beast. It almost kind of sounds like a Loch Ness monster, but that it breathes fire. Fire.
Leopleurodon.
Yeah. It describes some gnarly stuff. I can't remember everything about the description of it off the top of my head, but you could look it up and find it for sure.
That's pretty dope.
So
the whole, I don't see, that's again, like we're relatively close to the sun. So how would it, then again, I guess that's God. So okay, there's no scientific logic to that.
I don't know. The thing about creation, man, is some people call it the Big Bang. I guess according to physics, I guess it's called a continuum. Whenever creation happened, whenever God made the heavens and the earth or whatever, 3 things had to come into existence, and they had to come into existence at the exact same point. That's space, time, and matter. They can't exist apart from each other, right? I mean, most would agree with that.
Yeah.
If you had matter but no space, where would you put it? You know, I heard it put that way, and I liked it. If you had matter and space but no time, when would you put it? Time is a creation of God. He's not bound by it. He can step outside of it, like we talked about last night. But a lot of people can't give an explanation for that. But the first 10 words of the Bible, in the beginning, time, God created the heavens, space, and the earth, matter. They all came into existence at the very same moment. So, I mean, it really offers some good insight. Very interesting if you read it.
One thing we were talking about last night, Jason, you probably will know more about this than I will. Our boy Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about how the theory that seems to be going about and is rather popular anyhow basically, Big Bang, huge explosion, created everything that we know of today, and space is infinite, ever growing, and it's measurable, it's calculable that it's still continuing to grow currently. Right. And one of these days, that this infinite expansion will shrink back up to nothing. So with that, what I was thinking last night, I was discussing with Drew, is if you were to look at a star right now, that star could be dead because it takes however long for the light waves to travel here for us to no longer see that star.
Yeah, it takes.
Okay, so if we're able to measure space billions of light years away to know that it's growing, would that same concept apply, that it could actually be shrinking right now and we wouldn't know it until 2,000 years in the future?
Yes, because here's the thing. Space is expanding. We do know that. It's expanding faster than the speed of light. But it's also expanding, I want to tread very lightly because I'm not an astrophysicist, but it's also expanding at different rates in different areas. And that itself blows people's minds because it's not a uniform, everybody likes to think it's like this, this globe that's expanding and expanding and expanding, but it's not. It's full of matter. It's full of the matter that we know of, like lithium and iron and silicon, but it's also full of like stuff we can't even interact with, like dark matter. We don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, we know it's there.
Yeah.
We can observe it. We can't even observe it. We just know that it must be there. It's the only thing that logically makes sense because, a lot of these galaxies that you see are much smaller. The mass, we can actually measure the mass of galaxies. Now, I can't bust out the actual figures for you. I mean, NDT could for sure, but they can actually measure the mass of a galaxy, and not all the mass is accounted for. At the center of our galaxy is the Great Attractor. It's a black hole right in the middle of the Milky Way galaxy. But it still doesn't account for all the mass in our galaxy. They're saying there's more dark matter in the universe than there is matter that we interact with. There's so many things we don't know. The expansion of the universe, we have no evidence that would show that the universe would collapse back in on itself after like a heat death, after say all the nuclear fissions and all the stars eventually fizzle out, black holes start to all collide together, neutron stars all pull in towards each other to one giant mass again, and then they collapse back into a infinitely tiny point like the Big Bang was, and then it happens again. We have no evidence for that. We have evidence that there's a possibility that it could just expand forever. We don't know.
What if dark matter is souls?
We don't know.
Oh, shit.
We don't know, dude. It could be. It could be a lot of things. That's the crazy thing,
What is, I guess what I'm, in my mind, this makes sense to me. How do you know something is expanding if you don't know how large it is to begin with? If something is infinite, how do you know that infinite actually expands or infinite actually just exists?
This is getting tough. So we can measure the distance between us and other stars. And whenever two things are moving apart from each other, they give off different wavelengths. We can measure a star based on its brightness, based on its size, and based on its relative location to us. And there's been stars that throughout the ages we can no longer see anymore. They have disappeared out of the night sky. It takes hundreds of thousands of millions of years for that to happen. So, you can measure that same wavelength on Earth. The only time that physicists, whatever. The big issue is that we can. Yeah, I know. The only time things get really, really sticky is not so much at the macro level. We can understand how large objects interact with each other. It's at the micro level. There's a reason why quantum physics and astrophysics don't exactly always line up. We don't know everything. I mean, there's more evidence. Here's the crazy thing that'll blow your mind. There's more evidence that we live in a simulation than we don't live in a simulation. There's this thing that they did an experiment called the double slit experiment where they shot protons through two slots. I think they're protons or... Yeah, sorry. People are about to be like, this guy is shooting the bro science like crazy. But and they, depending on whether or not we were actually
aware of it.
If we were actually monitoring them, they acted a different way.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever seen atoms. Nobody has seen many of these subatomic particles that we theorize exist. That's what's so crazy. We just know where they should be. Mm-hmm. So physics itself actually breaks down at the subatomic level. So we don't even have a universal law. There's like things like string theory, that subatomic particles are just little strings that vibrate, but still got some holes in it. It's held up better than some others, but it's not perfect. Nobody really knows. So we can't even figure out how the world around us works. Lawrence Krauss says that atoms and matter really only exist for us to measure them. And I say that in a layman's terms. You got to read his book. It's the greatest story ever told so far. I mean, I couldn't get through that thing. It was too dense for me. That guy's a genius, and he could explain this for hours on end. But, he was the guy that I read about quantum entanglement, where you have these, depending on if you're looking at these or observing these subatomic particles, affects how they're going to react in their environment. That's absolutely insane. Mm-hmm. How do you explain that? I mean, I know we can't explain where we came from, but we can't even explain the world around us. The things we can explain are like moral truths and how human beings should be able to cooperate and work in a society without it crumbling. The Bible itself lays out some of the finest points for how a society should conduct itself so that it does not crumble in on itself. Mm-hmm.
I think it's funny because you were mentioning you don't understand subatomic particles can act a different way, and we don't understand how they act when we're looking at it. I mean, if we can't even understand how they are supposed to act from an evolutionary standpoint or what they're supposed to do, yet we are made up of subatomic particles, how can you have morality? How are we supposed to act made up of these things? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, morality is one of those things that's developed over the whole, whatever your time span is, from the moment we were here to we are now, because we were not the same people. I guess you could say we are, but the fossil record will disagree. And I don't want to argue about the fossil record. I know that there's holes in it, because there is. There's holes in our entire history. And that's why you can still have this conversation and it not be boring, because there's so many different points you can bring up. To me, the Bible is a moral guide. It has so many stories. Cain and Abel, the envious brother, all these different stories, the Great Flood, preparation throughout your entire life. There's so many, I can't even name half of them, and people will say, I'm agnostic or I don't believe in Christianity, yet they adhere to half the morals that are laid forth in the Bible, told by God, told by the disciples. And it's like, where do you think you got that? You think you just throw those books away? No, they're there for a reason, because we need them. we need those guidelines in order for this to work.
Hell, even if religion is just the biggest crock of shit we've ever thought of, peaceful religion is one of the best things to ever happen to humans, period.
Yeah, now we can interact without killing each other.
Yeah, I mean, think of how many people have had their lives saved, Drew being one of them. How many people act so much better as people, just interact better. How many people find a greater sense and give their life to God and give their life to a greater cause, stop being so selfish.
Purpose.
Exactly. They give purpose. So even if, and I'm not saying it is, because I'd like to believe in my heart of hearts that there is a God and that we're all heading to someplace better, that it's such a good thing, regardless of if we just die and we just stop existing, then at least you can live your entire life being a good person, leaving a good legacy because of that.
Yeah, it gives you,
you know what I mean?
It gives you a coping mechanism to deal with the fact that everything you do will fail. Everything you ever know will die and fade into the past, and that's okay. We live for a set amount of time. We all do. The exception is the infinite, and to exist is to basically go and suffer. We're in a constant struggle with ourselves, with other people, nonstop all the way through. And you said it earlier, it helped give you a purpose, a meaningful purpose, not just a purpose, but one where you're productive in your environment and it's beneficial to the people around you, beneficial to the people you interact with. You don't leave a footprint that's worse than the world was before it. And that, you can't, that's priceless. And the people that say, well, science will take over for where religion leaves off. No, there's no morality in science. It's either true or false. There's no morality. Morality fills in the gray. That's the craziest thing ever, because science says, okay, so there's...
Hitler did a lot of stuff for science.
Yeah, I mean...
if you just want to be real about it.
What if... so the Bible...
What if? Oh, shit.
I'm just thinking over here about my think tank's going. This could be the stupidest thing I've ever said. But, all right, so Bible speaks of heaven and hell, right? In layman's terms, hell's hot, fiery place, shitty place to be. Heaven's great place to be. You just chill, right? It's fucking dope up there. So what if the dark matter is souls and that's heaven? Like you're just chilling
in the ether.
Yeah, like you're out there and you're free, right? You're free of all emotion. You're free of all devastation, all of our emotions, love. Everything we have to deal with as a person. But if you're a shitty person, you're a shitty soul, then you go to the sun and you spend eternity burning up as fusion.
I mean, if you're trying
what if that's the case?
You just want to crunch it all together, science and religion.
Exactly. What if there's got to be something to both of them. Fuck it. Let's make 2 in 1.
That's funny.
Hell, we don't fucking know. Could be that case.
Yeah. You have to define what you because everybody defines their heaven or their end goal as something different. Everybody defines their hell as something different. The Bible is very vague in many places, and I think that it has to be because there's so many non-definite answers to things in life. You can be in hell without being dead, and you can be in heaven while you're alive. Think about the people who are homeless on the street, have nowhere to live, nowhere to go. They're addicted to drugs, strung out. They feel like shit. They can't do anything with their lives. They're in hell. There's no other way around it. It's not just some place that you go when you die. It's something that you can inhabit while you're alive. Hell in the Bible is described in many different ways. They don't just say when you die, this is where the bad people go and this is where the good people go. That's a black and white scenario. The Bible's not like that. I mean, it does in certain places, describes what it's like, what it can be like for the people that do the right things, live their lives in the way that they should, doing the moral things that they should do in this life to produce something that's positive and a good effect on the world,
It doesn't really say that.
Well, not specific. I'm
Yeah,
go ahead and cut in whatever you need.
No,
Chase goes on long rants.
Yeah, for the record, I do just want to say good people go to hell.
Yeah.
A life of morality has nothing to do with it, according to a biblical standpoint. Yes.
I didn't know that.
You don't live a good life and just say, "Oh, I helped old lady cross the street and I go to heaven." It doesn't say that at all. There's one name in which man might be saved. It's the name of Jesus. Still, I mean, it doesn't mean you could live a terrible life, but if you repent, the thief on the cross. I mean, he's a perfect example of it. I mean, he was a thief. There were 2 people crucified beside Jesus, and one was like, I've lived a terrible life. I mean, he was on death row right there, and he called on the name of Jesus, and he said, today you'll be in paradise. So what it really gets at is there's the only thing that saves you and gets you in heaven in this life is calling on the name of Jesus. That's it. It doesn't matter if you've lived.
I could be the shittiest fucking person alive, and then right before I die, say, I love Jesus, and that's it.
No, but if you repented and turned away from it.
So I have to mean it.
Yes.
Doesn't that kind of, though, emphasize what I just said about, it doesn't really matter if you're dead or alive or where you're at in your life. You can ascend from hell. You can get out of purgatory. You can also leave heaven. Fallen angels, there's more than one reference to that in the Bible, is there not?
Yeah, Lucifer had a rebellion, and he took a third of the angels with him. So, yeah, they fell. But
is there getting out of hell?
No.
So once you're there, it's donezo.
It's eternity.
Fuck.
It never ends.
That blows.
Hell is kind of like the Bible defines it as like a holding cell, like before court, before judgment, and then after that comes prison, which is the lake of fire, where hell is just thrown into, along with Lucifer, along with his angels and
the sun.
Yeah.
Who knows?
What? Wouldn't it be some shit if we died and I was right?
Like that.
You guys remember when we were fucking 21 and Jacob just laid that shit on us in the middle of a podcast?
And we just shrugged that
He
shit
could not
off.
have been more correct.
Gone.
And maybe space is expanding at different rates because God's out there just popping shit out wherever he wants.
Hey, you never know. We don't know. We don't know. But yeah, I think that's just where our beliefs in the Bible and religion deviate a little bit. You know, you have a more literal approach to the things that were told and spoken, and which there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's obviously allowed you to live a life that you appreciate, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Sure. You know, it gets disgusting when people are like, but it's wrong though. Does it matter? You know, it'd be one thing if you're, you know, I don't know, someone who's going around and like killing people in the name of Jesus. You know, it's happened before in the past, you know, which is terrible. But we obviously don't have all the facts to that. I'm not going to even try to.
No, yeah, people have took it and then definitely distorted,
they can take anything.
Contorted it.
Yeah, you can definitely take anything like that, and it's refreshing to me to be able to have conversations with people who have opposing points of view on things that can be so controversial and that can devolve into literal just garble, just disgusting.
Screaming matches.
Yeah,
and fist
seriously.
fights.
And it doesn't help anything because it's like then you just get more rooted in the things you do believe and you don't believe in. And
yeah, it seems like those people are like really insecure about what they believe. You know what I mean? Like they almost got a grudge about. I see a lot of Christians that way as well. Like when Jesus came, he left us with 2 commandments. He said, love your neighbor as yourself, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, soul, and strength. He didn't say judge the world. He didn't say condemn your neighbor. He didn't say anything like that. He just said love people. And that's what he said. So I don't understand Christians that act that way.
I think he's just more concerned about being right. You know, people just want to be right so bad. They want to claim just a little bit of moral high ground, like I was right and he was wrong. It's like, right and wrong is almost subjective. You know, we were talking about it earlier with the Brent Weinstein stuff or whatever his name is, or whatever the dang doctor who's, you know, drugging people and stuff like that. In his mind, he's like, you know, I can do whatever I want. This is right. You know, it's subjective. You know, that's why people like that are almost living in their own hell. They don't know good from bad. You know, they know they adhere to their desires. You know, they don't have like a guide to their lives that. What?
Dog, I farted right as I came in the
smell
door,
it.
and it
That
swept right
followed
in
you.
here.
Wow.
It
So you
fucking
shut the door and-
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's what it is. It blew
It
right at
fanned,
y'all.
right?
Yeah.
No, I was like,
I sat down. I was like, oh god.
you were literally just out there. You could
Well,
just,
in fairness, usually my farts don't stink. And I'm not just saying that. Like
That's dark matter.
yeah.
Jacob
That's why the
shit.
infinite expansion right there.
Terrible.
It just grew a little bit inside this room.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
Yeah,
Come
man.
back.
maybe that's the universe on a smaller scale. So eventually the smell goes away. Some might say it dissipates, but no, it just shrinks back up into infinity.
That smelled like a hot one.
It was a hot one.
Man.
Jesus,
I didn't even feel it coming on.
Lingering.
It is.
It's not
really.
going anywhere.
It's in my throat.
get a damn fan in here, Jesus, dude. Yeah. Oh man.
Terrible.
So yeah.
Terrible.
So we went from Bladesmith into that. So that's pretty cool.
I dig it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just, you know, everybody wants to do something meaningful. You had a beautifully worded post about it a few days ago about how you see so many people without a purpose in life.
Yeah.
And they don't know where to find one. They don't.
I was at honestly, I was getting sick. I had to take a day off work like 1 or 2 days after that. But I was in a weird mood. I woke up and I just wasn't feeling it. You know, I wasn't feeling the fucking 7 to 4 working in a cubicle, getting out of work, doing the same shit every day. That's why this podcast is so fucking nice. Get to do something different and have fun and talk and interact. Like nobody gets to do this shit anymore. When's the last time, besides last night with me for like 3 hours, but when's the last time you just sat down and talked to somebody about this shit? Like nobody does it anymore. And that's the problem. We're all on social media fucking bitching each other out about who's worse, Trump or fucking Hillary.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Like, and I don't know. It was a hard time for me to put a finger on why we do what we do. Like, I don't know of anybody who loves the system we're in of getting up and going to work and doing the same thing so that we can make money, so that we can come home and have materialistic things that literally don't mean shit when you die. And I was just describing in the post that nobody has a purpose in life, and that's where religion comes in. Religion gives a lot of people a purpose and something to follow, and that's great. But it's like, and I theorize maybe that's like almost the hidden thing behind suicide. Obviously, there's a lot. It's a touchy subject, and there's a lot of things that come into factor, like if you're abused as a child and shit like that. But maybe it's just that you don't have a purpose. You don't know why you're here, so you get lost on the way. And like working 8 to 5 is not for fucking everybody. Like I would be so much happier if I was able to go to the government right now, pay $100,000 for a piece of ground and never be bothered again. Ever. I could live on that ground. I could provide for my family. I get up every day knowing that I'm doing something for myself. I'm doing something for my family. I get up, I do what needs to be done, and I get done when I get done. That would be so much more fulfilling in my life than going to an office so that my company can make money, so that the dogs at the top can keep living in their mansions and their fucking billionaire planes, and I get to come home with table scraps thrown off the plate to provide for my family here by continue living in this house and having the things that we have.
It's almost like another form of slavery, the society
it is.
we live in. And it's financial slavery. It's just shifted. I mean, that's all it is.
It's weird that it continues to go, though, because what is it, the 1%?
We're consumers. We're like, look at all this stuff.
We've got all this cool shit.
I would imagine that the neurons firing in your brain are almost to that of drug addiction. Whenever you just go to the mall and just start splurging and buying stuff.
You just love shit.
Yes.
And I get...
You literally said it, love.
Yeah, I get the reason that it's been this way. Don't get me wrong, because I understand that things have to go on for us to enjoy a certain way of life. Like, we have to have clothing, so that means little Chinese kids have to work their fingers to the bone to make our clothes and ship them over here. So we have to have dock workers to import. So we have to have grocery stores to sell it.
But not like to the point that it is. Like, we don't need what the TV
we
tells
don't.
us we need.
No.
Like, yeah, I don't,
but that's what I'm saying.
I don't need some Yeezys. Like, I got some work boots. You know what I mean? I'm good for like a year.
And you can make work boots if you fucking wanted to.
Shoot, pedal.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. So I understand why we got here. I understand the Industrial Revolution, for example. That's kind of when things shifted this way. I don't know, man. I get the technological advances that come from it. I get that we're bettering society. It just seems like so many people are lost now. So many people are addicted to drugs to get away from this shit.
It's like the world tells you, like, there's happiness under this. If you do this, you will be happy.
Yeah.
So we spend our whole lives, like, I believe it was Benjamin Franklin, founding father, life, liberty, and the pursuit
of happiness.
He nailed it, because it's something you pursue. It's not something that you find. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? This side. And we go through our whole lives doing it. I mean, from the moment... think back to when you were 10 years old. You couldn't wait to be 16 so you could drive.
Yeah.
You couldn't wait till prom. You couldn't wait to graduate high school so you could go to college and go to the parties. Then you couldn't wait for the career. You got the career. You couldn't wait to get married. You couldn't wait to have kids.
Can't wait to retire.
Yeah. I can't wait to pay off the house. Once you pay off the house, I can't wait to have grandkids. And
now you're fucking dead.
And then it's like, well, I got 5 years left in my life, maybe, if I'm lucky. And I am miserable.
Yeah.
You bypassed everything.
It's like I work, there's 52 weeks in a year, if I'm not mistaken. So I work 50 of those so that I can take 2 of those to go do something.
Yeah.
Right.
Do something that makes me happy. I get 2 weeks out of the year to do something that makes me happy without having to worry about how I'm going to pay my mortgage, how I'm going to pay my car payment. That's bullshit.
Well,
It just is. No, don't say well, because you don't like it either.
well, nobody
At heart,
likes
nobody,
it.
Nobody fucking enjoys
But we all,
it.
here's the thing.
We're all in this game. There's no way to get out of this game because regardless, like I said earlier, if I took $100,000 to the government, bought a piece of ground, started doing my own fucking thing over here, that's fine.
Do it. I mean,
No, but I would still have to deal with paper. I would still have to deal with that fucking imaginary dollar. That means that,
not
yes,
to the degree,
you'd still
not
have
to
to
the-
pay
not to the degree
taxes.
that you would have.
In most states, it's still illegal to be off the grid. You can't go without utilities. You have to have electric and water ran to your house, whether you fucking like it or not.
But your life would go from working 50 weeks to do something you want to do 2 weeks, from doing something you want to do 50 weeks to doing something you don't want to do for like
Not
2 weeks.
necessarily, man. Taxes are fucking expensive. Where are you gonna come up with this imaginary money at? You're gonna have to use your resources on your land to give to the government to make this money to give them so that you can continue surviving.
You still have to produce something.
Exactly. That like I feel like there, and I described it in the post, I feel like there should be like a Homesteaders Act or something where you can declare that I want to live off the grid. Don't fuck with me. I'm not going to fuck with you. I'm not going to come down there and file welfare ever. I'm going to be on my own. I'm going to live and die the way I want.
Well, yeah, but if everybody did that, then the government would just kind of not be
The
making
government's for
money
the people.
anymore. You know, no,
The government's for the people.
No,
by
it's
definition, it's for the people by the people.
It's supposed to be.
If this people doesn't want to fuck with this, that people is free. That people shouldn't have to fuck with that.
You can leave.
Yeah, I definitely could.
Yeah,
Go
I mean, you
somewhere
could
super fucking shitty.
Well, not necessarily.
I
There's
love
a lot of-
America.
there's-
Don't get me wrong.
There's a lot of nice places outside of America you could go.
This was just the thoughts I was having in a fucking 3 foot by 3 foot cubicle on a Monday morning, sitting at my desk going, why is it like this?
because
and
we all
that's-
have to rely on each other, man.
that's
we,
the
we all got to
grandest-
contribute.
It's the biggest fucking question. Why is it like this? Why, like, I just imagine, dude, fucking, just imagine that. I don't know if that's your dream. That may not, you may fucking love it how it is. You may love, you're a workaholic. You probably do.
I do
You
work
can't
a lot.
imagine going out there and doing shit like I'm talking about. But I know, Drew, you're probably on the same wavelength with me right now.
Absolutely.
Imagine taking your family, going to 100-acre fucking just piece of ground. There's nothing on it. And you have a community there, right? Like, you have people like me who want to do the same thing. We don't give a fuck about this paper in our wallets. We don't give a fuck about these brand new things. Like, I love this house.
I feel like that's
because
one,
I've been
one generation away from a cult. When a
yeah.
bunch of people-
This is
is
how
exactly
Jonestown
what-
started.
when you move on to a big piece of land and you're all armed and you say
Yeah.
you don't want anything, it's only a matter of time before
But I'm just
that
saying
goes south.
that would make me so much happier on a daily basis. I would feel so much more fulfilled. I would
But
feel
is that unattainable for you?
yeah.
Why?
There's no way it's not. I would still have. This is what I'm saying. I would still have to raise cattle, bring in a lumber company to cut down trees to pay taxes.
What-
I would have to do these things to get this magical dollar that somehow fucking passes for money because it's worth nothing. That's what blows my mind. Like, bartering makes so much more sense than buying shit.
Right. Here's the thing. People were like what you just described for a long, long time, for longer than we are
And
right
nothing
now.
was accomplished really.
Absolutely.
You know what they wanted? They wanted running.
They
water,
wanted this.
and
They wanted this.
That's
wanted
why we're here
security.
right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we transitioned. We had
Exactly.
this beautiful Faustian deal with the agricultural revolution that happened about 10,000 years ago, where we started settling down. Hunter-gatherer societies decided to, for whatever reason, in different areas, decided to just stay put. You know, whether it was they found out about agriculture, and so that, you know, they're like, oh, well, the food's here, so we stay here. And then eventually agriculture was invented, and it's just ever since builded up from that point.
I think
So
from a historical perspective, something that I see, especially that's very prevalent in American society, if you look, I don't know, I mean, how many societies, the rise and fall of, you know, places like Greece, places like Rome, before then, they come to this pinnacle where they've made leaps and bounds in technological advances. Something happens when they're at the top where they get very comfortable, they get very miserable. I don't know if it's what I'm seeing now with the American male that is, I'm just going to say it, they're pussies
Yeah.
everywhere. Like, it's terrible.
Well, you have
It's the
you have
worst
two
thing.
breeds. You have the pussy who is absolutely incapable of
The
dealing with anything at all.
snowflake. It's
That's what I'm saying. And
awful.
maybe that's the reason, because we have no purpose. We have no thing to do other than go sit at my fucking desk and type on a computer. I don't have to go provide for anything. I can go over here and click some fucking keys and get a paycheck at the end of the week and go to the grocery store. It takes literally next to no effort to do that. I don't have to go out and shoot a fucking deer, learn how to skin it, learn the consequences of taking that animal's life. I don't have to learn how to quarter it. I don't have to learn how to season it, how to cook it, how to prepare it for my family, how to serve it to my family. I don't have to do any of that bullshit.
you
All
can
I
if
have
you
to do is go type on a computer, go to the grocery store, and everything's fucking handed to me.
Well, I mean, it's not just that. I mean,
That's-
there are hardworking people. I don't necessarily mean you have to have the most masculine trait. You don't have to be a lumberjack or a
no.
welder. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like 90% of the males I see walking around in this society, and Like I don't know. Like I get what you're saying.
Yeah, well, that's because like the lumberjacks, the construction workers, the doers.
Yeah.
That's what we're meant to do. We're meant to progress.
Men are wired to protect,
right?
And to see threats.
And we have testosterone. We have an inner drive that makes us want to do things productive.
Some of us do these days.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You don't see construction workers as a snowflake going all puss mode. You don't see that.
Or a feminist.
Yeah, well, that's like we've devolved to the point where we literally have no threats in our daily life. We might get in a car wreck. That's probably the most dangerous thing of anybody's day is getting in a car.
We walk around with these blinders on, and then something like Las Vegas shooting happens, and we're reminded of how ugly the world actually can be. And they're just, and I'm not talking about myself. I mean, yeah, it caught me by surprise as well, but I'm just talking about the mass majority just are reminded of evil.
I'm just saying that we have no threats to speak of besides each other. Each other is our biggest threat. That's it. So we don't have a reason to be concerned about survival anymore. We can go do these monotonous, boring, fucking retarded jobs that people hate to do, but you have to do because somebody has to do it. You have to go to do that, and the biggest threat is somebody else killing you. That's it. So now we've devolved to the point where we don't have to worry about survival. Food, water, bullshit's taken care of. Even if you're homeless, you can find food some fucking where. It's not unobtainable. You can go to a homeless shelter. You can find water fucking falling from the sky. You know what I mean? We're at the point now where this shit, the survival's on the back burner. So now we have to focus on bullshit that doesn't fucking pertain to anything. We have to focus on like the most silly, monotonous shit. And that's
Kardashians and our Starbucks coffee.
Right. We've placed
Instagram.
these people. Yeah, our fucking social media worth.
Oh yeah, it's terrible.
Our social media worth. That is one of the biggest. The creator of like the liking and shit on Facebook. He is since retired, and he's like, that was the worst thing I probably ever fucking done.
I went 2 years almost without a phone. Like literally, when my wife got pregnant with our youngest son, well, money got tight, for one. So I was like, well, I'll let my phone go. I'll use my wife's for a month or so. And then, next month I'll reactivate my phone. But it was just like, like Ricky Bobby from Talladega. And I was like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, there's not
I've thought about that so much, just fucking putting my phone in my safe.
Yeah, it was freedom. Like, it drove me crazy for like a week. Like, oh, I need to call. Babe, can I use your phone? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it was really
everybody's
hard to get a
got
hold of
a
you,
phone.
Exactly.
But if I wanted to get a hold of you, guess what I had to do? Go see you in person.
Exactly.
God fucking forbid we go see each other in person. It's so much more inconvenient. I know. I can't just go on Facebook and tag you in something.
It was nice.
Dude, I've thought about that a lot. I'll wind up fucking doing it. Is what I'm gonna do.
I've kind of wanted to
do it till the next podcast and then tell all the
I'll do
viewers
it.
how it was.
I'll do that.
I'm
game for that.
I do every now and then. What I'll do is I'll just unplug completely. I'll unplug the internet to my house. I'll unplug all the like my computer's unplugged. My phone's battery is out. I'll do like a day. Which is really menial, but I get so much done. Like, I'm like, holy crap, if I need to get something done, all I have to do is unplug everything.
Go unplug your router.
Yeah, go unplug the router, take the battery out of my phone, and then I'm like, oh, got to get laundry done, got to get the dishes done, got to clean up, got to mop, and then I got to go freaking do whatever I got to do. But it's wild. It's crazy.
I was so much, like, I sit at my desk all day, right? I've been over this time and time again, so I'll try to back off. But I sit at my desk all day. Time drags on. I hate doing it. And then I get off work, and I go out to check my trail camera. I go out to set up for hunting. I go out to set a food plot up, and 3 hours passes like that.
Yeah.
And I am genuinely satisfied with how I spent that time. Not once did I check my phone. Not once did I do anything besides fucking manual labor and a task that I had put my mind to.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do, man, is just go camp. Like that's what
it's such a nice
big thing
getaway.
that got me into knives was I found bushcraft. A lot of people are like, "What the heck's bushcraft?" It's like the art of self-reliance, survival, things like that. Going out and getting away from everything and sitting on a campfire was just not on a campfire. That would be terrible. Sitting by a campfire, just being out, man, unplugging, getting away from it all. It's almost cleansing.
I'll do that. You want to do that, Chase?
Yeah.
Just unplug until the next podcast? What do you think? Well, you're a single guy. See, I've got Lacey that if somebody has to get a hold of me,
Yeah, for me, I mean, I could definitely do it. It's not that I can't do it.
The what do we call it?
see.
It's got to have a catchy name. The week without. Boom. Ciao.
Take Cover Unplugged.
Take Cover Unplugged. There we go. That's a good one.
No, I mean it would be interesting because you know we work with technology.
Dude, my supervisor will be so happy about this challenge.
You'd be so productive.
No, I won't.
You'd just be like,
I will take such long shits. It will be unreal.
what are you going to be looking at while you shit?
Oh, goddamn. I guess
The
I'll
back
set up
of
my
your
desk.
eyelids.
Yeah. I will catch up on all the sleeps.
Yeah.
I used to be really bad socially. Like, I mean, I wasn't terrible, but I was just like, if I didn't know you, I didn't really want to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I started talking to people a lot when I put my phone down. Surprise! But I talked to them out of boredom, and like, I could tell I was getting on their nerves, but I didn't care. Like, I'm using you to pass my time right now. Like, I don't care if you think I'm funny or not. I think I'm funny, so I'm just gonna
listen to myself.
I'm gonna keep cracking jokes,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna laugh at them. And you're going to deal with it because we're in a car together. That's just kind of how it was. But
that's one of my favorite things to do is just interact with people in public. Just like, and so it's getting more and more strange to people. They're like, you'll either have the outgoing personality types like myself, or you'll have the introverts who are like,
they don't even look at people when they walk past.
Yeah, it's
them.
like, what the fuck are you talking to me?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I not talk to you?
The people who are interacting with him, but they're like this, filming themselves the whole time.
Yeah, man. I think that's definitely something that people, if they haven't done it, they need to do it. Got to jump in. Chris says, so what do you think the purpose of humans on Earth is?
Well, there's no purpose for humans on Earth. That's ridiculous. That's super self-centered. There's no purpose for humans to be on Earth. We're just here. So the purpose is self-driven. It's absolutely self-driven. You're trying to propel yourself as high up the food chain as you can while you're here, and then you'll die, and time will keep going.
From an evolutionist standpoint, from a creationist standpoint, your purpose on Earth is to bring glory to God, and He made you because you were made in the image of God. He made you to enjoy you. He wanted company. He wanted something with a free will that could choose Him. And so really everything ultimately comes back to the glory of God. So
now there's 7 billion of us little shits, and
we're everywhere.
Like 20% are Christians.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
It's a lot of people, definitely.
Well,
they adhere to those.
What?
You think that many?
I bet. Look it up.
I think it's really deep.
World population, like pie chart type deal.
If you look, like,
well, okay, I'm talking about Christian, like as in Christian, Catholic, Jewish, with Christ as Savior, is what I'm.
A lot of Jews don't believe Christ is a Savior.
Really?
Well, it depends if you're a Messianic Jew or if you're a.
Look it up. What percentage of the world population believe in Christ? That's the.
Look how much it's devolved from like the 50s. Like
the
50s. I mean, it was probably like what? Like,
there's a huge free thought thing going on, and I'm not mad about it. I think it's absolutely important that we have discussion.
I think what's silly is that everybody is just. I mean, I get everybody's searching, but everybody wants to pick their own truth, and I think that's counterintuitive to what truth is.
This is the first one that I found, but I can find another one. It's
Christianity is 32.5% major world religions chart. So Christianity is 32.5, Islam is 21.5, non-religious 16%, Hinduism 14%, Chinese religion 6%, primal faith 6%, Buddhism 6%, Judaism 0.2%. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
And Sikhism 0.4%. And other faiths.
When was that?
I don't know. This one seems like it may be a little fake newsy to me.
It doesn't.
Fake news.
It doesn't seem
doesn't
too reliable. It says close to a little over 2 billion people, tending to decline in terms of global percentage is Christians.
I just don't feel like that's accurate.
2 billion. I wouldn't say it's far off.
Well, we can go to list of religious population.
There has to be
here's
a government
Wikipedia.
website that takes care of this.
Will you guys trust Wikipedia?
Yeah, Wikipedia's gotten a lot better.
It's from Pew Research.
We'll pull it up. We'll see what.
All right. There it is.
Okay, this has Christianity at 31.5, Islam at 22.32, secular non-religious is 15.35, and so on and so forth. Judaism down there, there's got to be more than 14 million Jews.
There's not a lot because you can't just. I guess truly you can't just join, can you? You can't just become Jewish.
There cannot be more
It's in the bloodline.
African traditional. Yeah, that's true. Fuck. Yeah, you're definitely right. It has to be in the bloodline to be a true Jewish.
Yeah, you don't have the birthright. That sounds terrible to say it like that.
No, yeah, that's true though. Bottom line is Christianity's at 2.2 billion people out of 7 billion.
Yeah.
I really don't know about that, guys.
It may be. What do you think? It's less or more?
No, I mean, I'm not saying
It's
that's
gotta be
inaccurate.
I think that's right.
Your question just kind of stumped me with the Judaism thing. I don't.
Oh, look that up, man.
What is it?
Can you join? You can join the Jewish faith,
Yeah,
but you cannot.
but
be
you're a different sect.
Yeah, you can't be
Yeah.
a true Jewish person. Like you can't. I would want to think you couldn't be like of anything in the Jewish faith. You couldn't be like
In some cases,
a rabbi or something.
A person may forego a formal conversion to Judaism and adopt some or all beliefs, practices of Judaism. However, without a formal conversion, many highly observant Jews will reject a convert's Jewish status. So I guess there's, at the higher levels of Judaism, I'm not sure of what their prophets and how their hierarchy goes in their religious faith.
Well, weren't they the chosen religion by Christ?
Chosen people.
Chosen
he's
people?
definitely the ones that he revealed himself to. But yeah, that kind of changed.
The Hebrew people.
Are they the one who crucified him?
Yes.
So he's like, I choose you guys, and they're like, fuck you, and kill him.
Well,
there's more to it than that, I'm sure.
Well, in layman's terms.
Yeah.
yeah, they didn't really handle it too well whenever he said, I'm the Son of God. You know, they believed they were waiting on a Messiah, but whenever he was deemed as a prophet, as a rabbi. He was, greatly revered and respected. But what the Jews were looking for, you got to understand, they were under Roman rule during this time, almost like I guess we would be in modern day Iraq. I mean, they were occupied. Rome was really conquering the world at that time. And I think what they were looking for was someone who was going to set up an earthly kingdom, they wanted a 1776 essentially, but back then. And he came to set up, a different kind of kingdom. He said, I'm the Son of God. And, it was just, they crucified him, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes
What
sense.
dicks.
Yeah, they weren't too cool about it. But then again, think about if somebody did that today.
He would have to do something like retardedly spectacular for it to be believed.
There's people that claim to be like direct heirs of Christ and tend to be the channeling of Christ himself, and they claim it all the
They'd
time.
have to, like,
and they get
literally
super rich
fly or something.
somehow, and
People
like
give him a lot of money.
Like there was some Mexican guy who did it, and I mean, he just made millions, and he died of a drug overdose. Imagine that. He claimed to be. He's like, I'm literally Jesus Christ. I'm like,
wouldn't it be Jesus?
I think
it happened in the Middle East.
I think that's what made it so funny.
What his name was? Jesus' name? You think it would be Jesus? It was Yeshua.
Yeshua.
Yeah. I'm not sure how they pronounce it. It's actually the same as Joshua. Joshua and Jesus are actually the same. I guess some white people got a hold of it and they were like, Jesus.
Right.
That's what we do with a lot of stuff.
Yeshua loves me.
We take everything and Taco Bell.
Americanize it. Yeah.
Authentic Mexican cuisine. Taco Bell.
How long have we been going for, man?
We've been going for a while.
Yeah, we've had a good chat.
Yeah, we're about 2:15. So
2 hours and 15.
Yeah. So.
Oh fuck! All right, y'all want to wrap it up then?
We can definitely wrap it up. I mean,
you have to get home.
My ears are sweaty.
Yeah,
all right.
Fair enough. But hey, it's been awesome
that was
sitting
the
here
quickest 2
and
hours of my
actually
life.
like being able to conversate with somebody who actually knows something. There's so many people.
I don't know much. I know a little bit.
No, but enough to at least formulate an opinion. Most people just have talking points, and that is so annoying.
Or throw
so
scriptures at you.
it's been. I'm just saying it's been a great conversation, and
I enjoyed it.
it was
fun.
Fuck
good.
yeah.
Good luck to the bladesmithing, and I hope
Yeah.
to see some pretty
Hey,
nasty
I
knives
tell you
coming
what,
out.
You'll see Jacob's nasty.
Yeah, it'll be fucking disgusting, but it'll be there.
It's got a little hook on
look
it.
like a
What do we do?
halo
Are we
sword.
gonna do? Do you think a week's too long? What do you want to do?
What do you mean?
The Take Cover Unplugged.
No, here's the deal: is like to really get the full effect of it. Since you sit at a computer all day, I think you should go unplugged on the weekends. That way,
Okay.
because you're not stuck in front of a screen. And you
I'm
can
majority unplugged on the weekends
we
anyway.
could
That's
do
what
it
I'm
this
saying.
weekend.
And that way you could do a couple weekends, put it down on Saturday and Sunday, Friday night, whatever, so you can get the full feel of just Still not being stuck in for just trading a
I would
screen
be
for a
down
screen.
of just getting like a flip phone that has text disabled, just calls.
You need a jitterbug.
Jitterbug.
The old people phone with the big.
I'd
old
be down
screen.
for that for like a month.
So
For
you're
real.
like, I can't share Facebook.
That way,
posts
people
on-"
could still call me if it's like an emergency or something. But I don't want to have Facebook.
You're not going to have an emergency.
True.
It's just like an anxious thing.
Yeah.
That's true.
You might have an emergency.
Well, I'll
that's
travel.
stupid of me to say
I mean, like
that.
we go
Yeah.
to like Tennessee. God damn it, we're continuing the podcast. I don't
Mm.
care. I don't care. We go to Tennessee for like airsoft. So like we get a car wreck or something, but everybody's got their phone on them. So I don't know. Yeah, you're probably right. I probably don't need it, and I'm just making excuses.
It'd be fun
Who
to do it for a
doesn't have
weekend.
a phone?
Because you can manage. Somebody around you will have a phone
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it through Monday.
through Monday, from now until Monday.
Yeah.
I want to.
Oh, you got a what did you call it?
No, we're not talking about.
Was it
this.
a home run lined up?
No.
It was 3 home runs, so it's like a grand slam. That's what it was, wasn't it? A grand slam?
Hat-trick.
Is that a hat trick?
A hat trick.
That's a hat trick.
Anyways,
slam.
it's been great, guys.
Instead of a rabbit, he's pulling his cock out of a hat. Yeah, well, we need to get these terms nailed down. That's all I know.
okay. Well, I mean, we can definitely do like a weekend. or
Nobody's even
something.
listening anymore, so we can
Yeah.
literally make anything up.
Yeah, I mean, we could do like a seriously like a Saturday Sunday thing. Literally 2 whole days would be pretty impressive.
I'm not talking about. I want it like a weekday. That's the true test for me, especially.
Weekday. Well, see, you could
'Cause I'm
definitely
always
do it
on
at
my phone.
work.
Go a whole
Just-
week. Do a week.
I
You
can
said
do
a
a
week. You cut down to 2 days because I.
You want to do a week? Phone calls only,
Do a
and
week.
it has to be like a received phone call.
And you cannot call
not an
somebody out
outgoing.
of boredom.
Right, not an outgoing, but only incoming.
I mean, I want to do it. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I have any responsibilities like,
Like Monday through Friday next week.
Monday through Friday next week.
That way you can post on your Facebook. You can call your dad. You can call everybody and let them know, hey, I'm not gonna have my phone for this entire week.
But have
If
the
you need
phone
me,
shut off.
if you need me and it's important, incoming call only.
Okay. But
That
what,
way-
what do I do with my phone though? Do I just like leave it in a drawer or
You can
something?
keep it on you. You just have to be self-responsible.
Don't even keep it on you.
That would be so hard though.
Shut your
you
shut
just
your
do
data
it-
off.
You just even then I could. Well, yeah, I guess I could, but there's still apps on there and stuff. And
Look, I'm telling you, when you walk around without a phone in your pocket,
I think I've done it before and I feel good. It's weird.
yeah, like, it's
You kinda
like-
feel naked.
I feel sick to my
It's
stomach.
exactly
Yeah,
what
I
it
feel
is.
naked. I feel anxious. I feel really bad.
You need that feeling.
Honestly.
So leave the freaking phone. You're not gonna die. It's a week.
Feel that.
We have phones at work.
Yeah, I can leave it.
You know.
That's true. Yeah, we do have a phone at our desk,
We have
so
a phone at work. So
I can do that.
I mean, we could definitely
Monday
do
through Friday. Let's do it.
We
I'm
can
gone,
try-
guys.
This.
All right, Monday through Friday.
Hey.
We got our hammer down, whether
All right.
Chase likes it or not. Drew's out of here. Thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.